Okay.
All right, and we are live. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the world. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are live here with Vbit Cast number one. This is our very first attempt at doing this Bitcoin related show or podcast or what have you. I am joined by my esteemed friends and colleagues today, Mr. Don, Jason, and Jin. Again, thank you very much for your time today. I hope everyone is doing well out there, staying safe, washing your hands, so on and so forth. We can get started with a round of intros. So maybe Don, the man of the hour, could you please introduce yourself to the stream?
Hey guys, my name is Don. I'm the founder and CEO of Vbit Technologies, and I'm just so excited to sit here together with James, Jin, and Jason, just to discuss, what's going on in the current news cycle and what's happening with this whole coronavirus issue.
Awesome.
All right. Hello, my name is Jin Chia, the vice chairman here at Vbit Technologies. Actually, we're here in the office, the headquarters over here. Of course, talking about what everyone is talking about, the coronavirus and Bitcoin, what's going on in the market. It's been a crazy last week or so. I think it's going to get crazier. So we're here to talk about that, and I'm looking forward to it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Wong. I joined Vbit in one of the earlier days, and I work with Don and Jin here on a day-to-day basis. Like Jin was saying, it is crazy in the market for the last couple of days, but it's not just pertaining to only Bitcoins. It actually pertains to all the asset class. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Very good. And last but not least, my name is James. For everyone who doesn't know me, I'm the new guy, sort of your resident bobbling head, so to speak. I'll be doing my best to help facilitate some of this live stream stuff on behalf of Vbit. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys and exciting to be. Oh, I mean, it's a mixture of emotions, right? It's exciting. It's a little bit scary to know where we are in the world today, but it feels good being able to get together with the gang and discuss these things honestly and openly. So the goal of today's stream, guys, is just to connect with you all, our Vbit family, and to discuss things, transparently with you, because a lot of people are worried about what the future holds in store. The impact on Bitcoin, the impact on cryptocurrency. What does the world look like going forward? There's a lot of hot button topics to discuss. So in no order of operations, we can kick it off with VBitCast number one. Don, maybe we can start at the helm, man. The state of Bitcoin, as of March 16th, 2020. Maybe in your own words, could you possibly summarize what has happened to Bitcoin over the past couple of days and kind of where we're at this point?
Yeah, so I would be glad to. So as we all know, what's currently really dominating this news cycle right now is this whole coronavirus issue, right? And people are really panicking about and really unsure what's going to happen. Is there going to be a gigantic quarantine? Is the economy going to come to a complete stop? Do they have to stay home, for the next 2 weeks, a month? How are they going to, get their next paycheck, among other things? So what you see that's happening currently in the market right now, and it's not only the Bitcoin market, it's across the board, right? You have your stocks, you have your bonds, your commodities, your gold, and Bitcoin. Everything seems like it's just free falling and dropping. What a lot of people don't know is, what they don't realize is coronavirus is just a temporary issue. It's not going to, take a permanent, it's not going to permanently change anything. And it actually doesn't change the fundamentals of our economy, of the world economy. It doesn't fundamentally change anything as we know it. It's just short-term effects. But what you see in the markets right now is just heavy selling due to the uncertainty. It all started on Thursday from what I view as a liquidity issue. There's a lot of people trying to cover their margin calls. So even before I go into what that all how that all took place, right? I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what margin is and what a margin call is, because I'm going to be using those terms a lot during this podcast. And basically, a margin is when somebody, like let's say, I have $100,000, I deposit it into a brokerage account, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Point, Kraken, whatever brokerage that I have, right? Generally, in the traditional markets, they give you anywhere between 3 to 5x, margins, which means that even though, like, let's say if the broker is giving me 5x margins, even if I'm putting in $100,000, I can buy up to 5 times that amount. So I can buy up to, $500,000 worth of stocks, gold, whatever asset that I want. But with the risk, knowing that if I buy things on margin, if that asset drops, and I lose whatever I have in my account, the broker has the right to immediately sell all of the stocks or all of the assets that I hold to cover that margin call. And that's what a margin call is. A margin call is when the broker force liquidates, force sells, everything that you have inside of your brokerage account that you have spent that margin money on, so that they can be sure that they're covering, their bases, they're covering the amount of money that they have loaned you. So how it all started, last week when the coronavirus really started hitting, the news cycles and people started to take notice more, the first few sets of people might have, decided to start selling and so that they can keep some cash just in case, these crazy times get crazier, right? And then when they started selling, all of the stocks, gold, bonds, Bitcoin start to slide a little bit. And because we have been in such a long bull market, it has actually made people very comfortable with trading on margin, because maybe, when you're in a bear cycle, right, you get very worried. You don't know if Bitcoin is or stocks are going to go up, or whatever asset that you're putting money into is going to go up or not. So you're much more risk averse. So you don't people tend to not buy on margin as much, or if they decide to leverage, they only buy maybe like a 2x or 3x at most, and just leaving even though they're capable of buying up to 5x because the brokers allow them to buy up to 5x, but they're not going to do that because they're more risk averse. But then when you have such a long bull market.
Just to jump in here, because I don't know too much about this stuff myself. I'm sort of the resident Bitcoin small brain guys. What you're saying, Don, is that we've been in a bull market so long that these traders were allowed to invest money they didn't have or something at a 5x amount.
No. It's not that we've been in a bull market. So they're always, depending on the brokerage company that you're using, you're always allowed to leverage. And that's one of the tools that Wall Street uses to, make more money. You can think of leveraging or, trading on margin as taking a loan, right? But the person giving you the loan is the brokerage company that you're buying the stocks or the gold or the Bitcoin on. So basically, you're allowed to buy, using a loan that you received from the broker account. But during bear markets, even though the broker allows you to buy 5 times what you actually have, most people are scared because they don't know if it's going to actually go up or down. So they're much more risk averse. So they only, buy, let's say if they leverage, they only take out the loan for 2 times or 3 times the amount of money they have. But since we were in such a long bull market and they see, the prices keep on going up and up, they're much more comfortable, taking on more risk. Basically, they start to, get greedy instead of, fearful. And that's why we have the fear and greed factor that in play in the market right now as well. But, as they get more comfortable taking on more risk, they're utilizing the full, 5x or 10x that the broker allows them to, because they see all of the other guys out there, making 10 times or 5 times the amount of money that they're making because, they're buying using loans. But what they don't realize is it puts you at a lot of risk, because the more leverage that you have, the more loans that you're taking out, right? It leaves little room for error. So just a little, like tick in the wrong direction, just a little downward spiral, you're at risk of getting hit with the margin calls and having to be forced to liquidate all of the assets that you have, which causes the massive slide. So the massive slide on Thursday, it wasn't really, like people actively going into their accounts and actually selling off, the stocks or the gold or whatever they have. It's a systematic thing where the computers automatically do it, because the market slide a little bit, causing the margin call, and then, from one person getting hit with that margin call, it's a systematic thing that everybody else, it created kind of like a landslide. And then, like at that point, everyone was trying to scramble for liquidity. Everyone was trying to find money to cover on their loans or on the margin that they have traded with. Is that, like a good explanation, or is that a bit confusing for you guys?
Don, you and I talked about that a little bit yesterday morning. We kind of compared the margin difference to a traditional stock market versus a crypto market, whereas traditional stock market would allow you maybe up to like 5 times, right, of leverage, whereas some of these crypto exchange, it would allow you to go up to as high as 100x. Is that correct?
Yes. So actually, one of the most popular platforms that the crypto industry uses is BitMEX. BitMEX actually allows 100 times leverage, which means, for every dollar you put in, you can buy up to $100 worth of, crypto. So that means that if it slides just a little bit, if it slides off just 1%, then you're going to get hit with a margin call if you're fully leveraged.
Right, and I think that is part of the biggest reason why we see such a dramatic drop in prices in the last couple of sessions. And it's well documented on the news.
All right, I think what makes it also to sustain that loss is what we talked about before, about how the fear, piggyback what you were saying earlier, Don, about fear and greed, right? Mm-hmm. When you buy Bitcoin and the market drops, people get scared, right? When the price goes down, people start selling. So that's another downward pressure on the Bitcoin prices, right? Especially, yes, if the coronavirus, if all these uncertainty that's going on right now, people don't know when their next paycheck might come or might not come, right? So they want to liquidate and have some cash at hand. And then at the same time, when the Bitcoin price keep on dropping, people are scared, again, the fear. So people are liquidating their Bitcoin and causing another downward pressure.
So just to take a few steps back here, guys, as the resident Bitcoin small brain, this is how it has appeared to me. Feel free to jump in here and correct me when I put my foot in my mouth. Basically, we've been in a strong bull market for close to a decade now, as Don said in one of his past interviews. Things have been strong. People have gotten more comfortable, more risk tolerant because things have been so consistently strong. Now, when this whole coronavirus outbreak hit up, it kind of created this snowball effect, and it started to everything started to crash, right? It's not just Bitcoin, it's even stuff like gold started to crash, which was considered a safe haven asset or something that was kind of the sort of the thing that would never crash, or however you want to say it. And we experienced a 38% drop in Bitcoin on the 12th of March 2020. Now, I have this graph up here. Apparently, it's not the largest drop of all in Bitcoin history. Some people were saying that it is the largest drop. It's not. Apparently, in 2013, there was a larger drop, and I guess one in 2011 as well. But people are scared, and they don't know what the future holds, and if we have control of this virus yet. I think the interesting thing then is that you pointed out in the last video, Don, was that there's nothing, Bitcoin dropping right now, guys, doesn't mean that the technology is bad. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with technology, that the coin isn't working, that blockchain isn't working. It's a function of fear and all these like advanced financial, plays. There's actually a lot of advantages towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrency looking forward. And if we look at what has got us into this coronavirus sticky situation right here, looking forward, stuff like cryptocurrency and blockchain can help avoid some of this stuff in the future, and we can learn a lot of lessons from the coronavirus moving forward, living in the 2021 and so on and so forth. Anyway, does that correct, Don, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think you phrased it really well, James. And I mean, right now, if you really think about it, nothing has fundamentally changed for anything. Right now, it's kind of like the same idea when you go to the supermarket right now, right, or your Walmart. You see all the toilet paper is sold out, all the hand sanitizer is sold out, and all that kind of stuff. Let's say toilet paper, right? Are you really going to use more toilet paper during this time period? No, not really. Most people are cleaning out the shelves because they just want to, stockpile because they really don't know, like how long this is going to drag out, basically. But think about, when the weatherman, forecasts a gigantic blizzard that's going to hit us, right? Even if he's correct and a gigantic blizzard hits us, you see so many different people going out to kind of ransack, the stores, buy up everything. You don't see, they're basically grabbing everything. Are you really going to, eat that much more canned foods during, the time of that blizzard? No, and they know that, at most the blizzard is only going to last, a few days, a week, even afterwards. It might take, 2 weeks for the city to plow all the roads and stuff like that. But they always go out and they actually buy like 2 months worth or 3 months worth of food, of supplies. People tend to, overreact to a lot of different things. And that's really what's going on in the market right now too. So the drop on Thursday, I really think has a lot to do with the people getting hit with the margin calls and even institutional players not getting so comfortable. They're over leveraged. They didn't expect, the drop to really take that much to be that deep, and they didn't think that the coronavirus was going to be priced so severely into the market. It was too big of a reaction for too little of a reason, basically. But today's crash, it was for the stock market is even bigger than on Thursday, right? Today, the Dow dropped just about 3,000 points, which is the largest drop that it has had since 1987. So basically the past 30 something odd years, right? And there's really no rhyme or reason as to why the drop was so big, except people now realize that they might have to be, out of work for here in Philadelphia. And I think, James, you told me in the Bay Area as well, where the governor or, your government official already told people to start staying home, hunker down. Non-essential businesses are not operating for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. And that now people are really realizing that this is going to have, an effect on their lives. It's going to have an effect on, their cash liquidity. Because unfortunately, the truth is most people in this country, and not only this country, but around the world, they're living paycheck to paycheck, right? So if they're missing work for 2 weeks, if they're missing work for a month, 2 months, they're scrambling to find, whatever cash that they might have available to them in order to pay the bills for the next month to 2 months. And one of the easiest and fastest ways to find, quick cash is to sell off your stocks, sell off your Bitcoin, sell off your gold, or your commodities. And that's why you see, today, a drop across the board. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with Bitcoin or wrong with the economy. Because I can confidently say this because I see that today, gold is getting clobbered too. It's going down in value as well. And gold, as everybody knows, is an accepted form of a safe haven asset for the last thousands of years, basically, dating all the way back to, your kings and queens and the dynasty days, for thousands of years already. So if there was anything fundamentally wrong with, the economy, with Bitcoin or anything other than liquidity issues, then you will see that Bitcoin is, gold is actually going to go up in value. And historically, gold has, as we saw in the last recession too, in 2008, right? When stocks were getting clobbered and it was going down in value, gold as a safe haven asset just continued to go up. But this time around, you actually see gold getting crushed too. Mm-hmm. So the only rhyme or reason behind it is people are hearing that they have to take off of work for 2 weeks, for a month, and they're really unsure of how long they're going to be out of work, and they're going to need money in order to pay their expenses during the time that they're not getting a paycheck, because they're most people are living paycheck to paycheck now. So it's really going to hurt their bank.
Yeah. Thinking off the top of the head right now, guys, as far as strengths of the technology of Bitcoin and blockchain and stuff, I'm thinking of so many that are coming to mind right now. Some of them could be unfounded. I'm not sure. I'm curious if you get your guys' feedback on this. But all right, so right now we're in 2020. Some people are maybe stranded away from their country in quarantine. Some people maybe in a country like Italy right now, and they're battling. They got hit really, really hard with COVID right now, and they're dealing with that right now. So like currency fluctuations will happen, right? I'm assuming the Italian currency, they're on the euro, I'm assuming. It's going to be weaker at this current point in time. Europe in general, the euro in general, I would assume would be weaker. And this is, that's a real consideration where something like Bitcoin is like this international global asset. And, that it makes a stronger case for, having some cryptocurrency, having some Bitcoin, some stuff like that. Physical money right now, coins and bills are a little bit unsanitary and can potentially be, these are little things, right? But all I'm saying is, things fluctuate, they drop, they recover. With coronavirus in mind, I think it makes a stronger case for the technology moving forward once this all passes. I don't know if you guys agree, disagree. Feel free to totally crush my dreams.
James,
like that.
James, I think you're absolutely correct in that. In fact, in China, the central government started to recycle, meaning they take back all the old bills and then printing out all new bills in midst of this coronavirus epidemic or pandemics. But luckily for China, they have been, for the larger part, a cashless society for the last maybe a good 10 years now. Most people, they don't carry cash around anymore. They use Alipay or WeChat Pay. So that has been, kind of what's helping to, stop further spreading of the virus around. In fact, I am very worried about in the U.S. in where we are, as we getting change back from our vendors. You don't know who has touched those monies before, and these virus can survive on a service for up to 5 days. Mm-hmm. So in fact, I was just up across the street, picking up some building supplies, and I didn't want to take the change back.
Yeah, so, I hear you. I got some cash back at the grocery store yesterday, and the bills were looking a little suspect. I was like, all right, I'm gonna wash up after this.
Right. Yeah. You can't tell. That's the craziest thing, And in fact, just kind of going on a funny story. The only thing that I've been seeing that are going up in the last, couple of weeks is hand sanitizers. In terms of the prices.
Yep.
Face masks, hand sanitizers, and maybe toilet papers.
So. Yeah, it's true.
Also, up until recently, I actually saw little bottles of hand sanitizer that you usually could get in the dollar store going on Amazon for like $20 a bottle.
Wow, that's insane.
And James, also, and speaking of a global currency about Bitcoin, we hear stories, we read about it and we hear about stories how people are using Bitcoin to transfer Bitcoin international. Right, like you just mentioned Europe and other countries about transferring. Now, not only we hear a story, actually with us, we actually have members that were doing that before. They were transferring Bitcoin to other countries, especially we have a lot of American Filipinos here transferring Bitcoin to Philippines. Right? Now with our wallet, we have members doing even more, just transferring what they mine from Vbit from their Kabul Bitcoin wallet to other members in the Philippines. And the transfer is instantaneous, and it's also transaction free for our members. So Bitcoin, our company is doing great things, and also of course I think Bitcoins will be a very valuable financial instrument.
Definitely. Beautifully said, Jin. Beautifully said. Another thing I have to say, and yeah, ask my friends, guys. I'm like the least tinfoil hat person out of all my whole friend circle. Like, all my friends are always telling me, oh, this is maybe an inside job or whatever. And I'm always like, I'm the last person to say that. But just with that in mind, there probably is something to be said about being trapped within a certain system of money, where there is one single source, like one entity, one government or something in control of the money supply, right? Where they can just elect to print more money, bail this person out, not bail this person out, and kind of getting stuck in that. Like, I see Bitcoin, at least personally, like let's say in some, not to say this is going to happen, right? But if the dollar got devalued massively and the U.S. was in a lot of tumultuous times and you were to go abroad, maybe people wouldn't respect the dollar, and you would have, you would struggle to have that be taken seriously as a form of currency, whereas Bitcoin is kind of your own thing. It spans all the countries across all the seas and is kind of agnostic to any government or one party type of thing. So like all these things, like I feel like all these things make a case more for blockchain, decentralized Bitcoin, things like this.
And then you see, one of the things that I see, right, when the dust on the coronavirus, when the dust all settles, all said is done, and then it's back to business like normal. Because of this coronavirus issue, the Fed trying to, ease the impact on businesses and the economy, what they had done is they're saying they're printing over $1 trillion to pump into the economy, and they're when they say that they're printing over $1 trillion, that's adding to the current money supply. You might not see the immediate effect right now, the inflationary effect right now, but once all is said and done, and the dust settles, everything's back to business like normal, you're going to start to see that your dollar is not going to go as far anymore, because inflation is starting to kick in. And when people see that, they're actually going to take their dollar instead of hanging on to their dollar and then losing buying power on it. Eventually they're going to have to try to find ways to kind of offset that inflation, and they're going to move into assets with fixed supplies, kind of like Bitcoin and gold and your precious metals, because they know at the end of the day, like gold, Bitcoin, it has a fixed supply of only 21 million Bitcoins. That's why the it's built that way, so that the value continues to go up over time. It's deflationary, and it's not a safe I wouldn't say it's exactly a safe haven asset against pandemics, because there's no such thing as safe haven asset against pandemics, right? Because against pandemics, everybody is kind of worried. Everybody is scared that it's going to be the end of the world. If I get sick, am I going to die, and all that kind of stuff. And when all said is done, when you go into survival mode like that, you don't really care about money or what is happening to your money. At the end of the day, you're just worried about, how am I going to make it through this? How am I not going to get sick? How am I not going to die? So you're going out there just getting all of your essentials. But then when all of this blows over, when it's back to business like normal, and they realize that, oh man, now there's over $1 trillion in new money that was just printed. Now they're going to start to find a way to kind of hedge against the inflation, and that's where Bitcoin and gold is that safe haven asset for them to kind of shelter their money away from inflation.
So that doesn't happen, right, with Bitcoin? So like you're saying, the government's printing $1 trillion more dollars, so whether you like it or not, your money's going to be worth less. With Bitcoin, you're immune to that, like if you invest in that, right?
Exactly. So that's why I really think, like right now is actually a really, really good opportunity. When the saying, the old saying is, you buy when there's blood on the streets, right? And that's exactly what's going on right now. When everybody is fearful and prices are tanking, that's the best opportunity to get in. I remember the last recession that we had back in 2008 when when Warren Buffett announced that he was buying Goldman Sachs stocks, a bunch of a position in Goldman Sachs for $125 per share for preferred shares. Everybody was saying, oh, how crazy he is, because the banking industry at that time was free falling, stocks were across the board was free falling. Why is he putting, and I believe it was about $5 billion or something around that number that he was putting into buying Goldman Sachs preferred shares for $125. And his reasoning was, it's the best opportunity to buy when things are cheap, because you're getting a discount, because eventually everything's going to go back to normal, and everything's going to come back right back around, right? So right after he bought the Goldman Sachs stock, a few weeks to a month later, it started tanking a little bit more, because honestly, there's no way for anybody to 100% accurately time the market, right? But he knew that it was a good opportunity because it was either close to the bottom, if it's not at the bottom, it was very close to the bottom. And a few months later, I believe it was half a year to 8 months later, everything started to go up again, and he made such a big profit on that investment into Goldman Sachs, and everybody was calling him a genius, but really everybody can take advantage of the same opportunity. People just have to realize that when other people are scared, you have to really be a contrarian and do what the opposite of what people, what other people are doing. So right now, when everybody is selling, this is actually the best opportunity to make the biggest profit potential.
It is true. Yeah. With all wars and conflicts, people get really wealthy during those times, right? Because you gotta be brave in the face of danger and unknown. Sorry, what were you saying, Jen? My bad.
I'm saying, Bitcoin right now is actually on sale. I strongly believe it's a great time to buy Bitcoin if you are financially able to. Right, get more Bitcoins now. And plus, for our members that are paying their monthly with Bitcoin, if they can not use their Bitcoin, I would hold on to all the Bitcoin that I have. Right now is not the time to sell Bitcoin.
Well, I really think, in the short term, Bitcoin prices are going to turn right back around. I really think in the next month to 2 months, you're going to see, Bitcoin right back at around $8,000 to $10,000 or so. So, now is actually a good time to just hang on and accumulate more Bitcoin, because the prices, if this is not the bottom yet, this is very, very close to the bottom. And I really don't see, Bitcoin dropping below its previous lows of, 3,000 something. So right now, even if it's not the bottom, it's very close. So just hang on to all the Bitcoins that you have. It's almost guaranteed to appreciate in value, right? Even if it's not over the next 2 months, I guarantee you, after this whole coronavirus issue is over, all the cylinders in the economy is on and firing again, and businesses are back to normal, and the effects of that over $1 trillion being pumped into the economy takes place, and people starting to realize those effects and seeing, your let's say your loaf of bread that usually costs $1 now just increased to $1.20 or $1.50. They're going to start to realize that their dollar is not worth as much anymore, and they're going to find other things to kind of hedge against that inflation. And I really think, Bitcoin is going to be one of those places. And that's exactly what happened, like back in the last recession as well. After the, after the whole stock market crash, the Feds cut rates all the way down to zero. It pumped in, billions of dollars into our financial system after, that whole recession was done and over with, and people started to realize that inflation is kicking in. They started to buy Bitcoin. They started to buy gold. And that's why you see, over the past decade, Bitcoin was actually a much better buy than the stock market.
Hey, Don, with the suppressed Bitcoin prices right now, we are probably another maybe week or week or so from another change in the Bitcoin mining difficulties. Where do you see that going, if you have any opinion on that?
So the Bitcoin mining difficulty level is directly determined by the amount of hash rate on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? And that's actually public information too. You can actually, James, can you Google Bitcoin mining hash rate?
Yeah, sure thing. Sure thing. Just keep talking while I do it.
Yep. Yeah. Just Google Bitcoin mining hash rate, and then it's either the first or the second search result at blockchain.com. Right. It's titled hash rate dash blockchain.
Oh, yep.
Yep. And if you pull that chart up and actually hit the 30 days mark.
Okay. Let me transition over here. So I'm seeing some blue lines here. Let me try to zoom out for you. It might be a little small for those of you in the chat, but we can try to.
Yeah, but remember to change it to the 30 days time frame. So what I'm trying to show you guys is, like this chart is a live chart of the hash rate on the Bitcoin blockchain. So the Bitcoin mining difficulty level is directly determined by this, chart right here. James, can you hit 30 days time frame? Because that doesn't look like the 30-day time frame chart.
Okay.
On the bottom, you're going to see 30 days, 60 days. Yep.
Yeah, this is the 30 days right here. Here we go.
Okay. There you go. Can you pull all the way over?
To the right?
Right.
Okay. Let me use my old boomer eyes here. I gotta. Let's see.
Because yeah, we're not able to see on that. We're not able to see the latest information all the way to the right.
Okay, I figured out how to do it. Stand by.
Cool.
Okay. May look a little bit weird, but forgive me. Second.
You're not able to share your whole screen?
There we are. They should be able to see it now.
Not quite yet.
It's getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, because what I see on the screen right now is only up until March 7th.
That should be it, though, what we're seeing right there now. It might be a little bit delay on the stream, but this is full screen.
Oh, okay, there you go. I can see it now. So if you guys look all the way to the right, what do you guys see?
It's going down.
I see it's been going down pretty substantially. This is 97 million or so, almost 98 terahashes.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yes, about 98 million terahashes right now currently on the network. Before the crash last week, it was at almost 125 million terahashes. So if you do the math, that's more than a 20% drop in hash rate. So that's a pretty substantial drop. And like I was telling you guys, like all along, Bitcoin mining difficulty level and the Bitcoin price is very correlated with each other, right? It's two dynamics that determine that is there to kind of ensure that Bitcoin miners are always profitable, regardless of when, how much Bitcoin price goes down or goes up. Because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is it's reliant on Bitcoin miners. If there's no Bitcoin miners, there is no Bitcoin, because there's no government or no central entity that is responsible for keeping the ledger going, doing all the accounting work. We as the people, a decentralized entity is responsible for upholding the Bitcoin network here. So that's why the Bitcoin network mechanisms always has to ensure that we're profitable. Otherwise, nobody's going to mine for Bitcoin, right? And if nobody's taking care of the ledger, then that means that there is no Bitcoin at the end of the day. So what you see there, the mining hash rate on the blockchain, it went down like about 20% so far since the last time that the Bitcoin mining difficulty level adjusts, which means that if it stays at this level, if the hash rate stays at this level, the next time the mining difficulty level adjusts, it's going to adjust down about 20%.
So, Don, one of the benefits of mining Bitcoins versus, trading or buying, and trading it is that as the mining difficulty goes down, our members end up mining more Bitcoins on each block, correct?
Yes, that's correct. As the Bitcoin mining difficulty level goes down, the amount of Bitcoins that you mine with each hash power, it actually increases. And when it increases, now you have more Bitcoins that you can hang on to, because we all know and we all feel like the Bitcoin price is going to increase, right? So you hang on to those, and then when it increases, you actually made more money than if Bitcoin price just kept on going up. So actually, I feel like as a Bitcoin miner, we should, when Bitcoin prices go down, that's when you should want to mine more, because you end up getting more Bitcoins with each hash power once the mining difficulty level adjusts downward. And then
I think that's why Jen bring up that point that hold on to the Bitcoins that you mine, because it makes sense. Now if you hang on to every Bitcoin that you mine over time, as the price bounce back up, because you're mining let's just say 20% more, right? It really magnifies the gain when the price rebounds.
Yep.
I mean, unless you believe that society is basically crumbling and there's going to be no more rule of law, you shouldn't sell your Bitcoin. I mean, it's going to recover. It's just a matter of time. People always get wealthy when there's these big downswings and upswings in whatever, subprime mortgage crisis, whatever it might be. So, if I had a bazillion Bitcoin, I think you're in a good spot, guys. Like the worst thing you can do is panic sell, right?
Well, I think, James, to your point, and that is the reason why, there is no safe haven when it comes to a pandemic versus, a financial meltdown, because the two are very, very different. In a pandemic situation, people care about, do they have enough, food to sustain them, or do they have enough hand sanitizers for them to go around, as opposed to, how much stock or how much Bitcoins they have around. So that's the reason why I think we see all asset class starts to go
That's
down,
true.
not just your traditional, safe haven access.
I just realized something too. I'm a little slow, guys. I'm starting to understand this. Another implication of what all of you guys, you big brains, are saying. So, in the financial crisis, like the subprime mortgage crisis, for example, right? You had all these predatory lending. There was almost a shift in the demeanor from the public opinion towards financial institutions. Something actually changed with the financial institutions. There were financial implications to the whole world of finance, right? And so it would make sense if people want to pull out investment into those companies. They might think that Wall Street, everything is in this disastrous position because the companies that comprise it are in hot water. In this situation we're in right now, it's totally non-endemic to finance. It has to do with, disease and virus and the medical system being overwhelmed. It would be like the medical company stocks like rising or falling. It's not like that, right? So finance is sort of immune from it. It's a different thing. Do you see what I'm getting at? Like it's different. So when everything goes down, it's not like how it was in the past. Like stuff is going down just because everything is going down. Nothing is actually broken really within the finance system. Like these banks are fine. Like Bitcoin is fine. These technologies are fine. It's just like the outside circumstances that are making all the value go down.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, James. And I just wanted to, just this thought came into my mind, right? I remember when I was younger, a person that I looked up to shared these words of wisdom with me, right? He told me, if you, if you are just an average person thinking, thinking on average terms and living your life just through average time period where there is no turmoil, it's just life as usual. The only way for you to get ahead, the only way for you to really build wealth is if you're lying, cheating, or stealing. But all of the opportunities to become rich actually, unfolds itself through a problem, through turmoil, through economic instability, and you're only able to become rich. You're only able to to stand out from the crowd if you really know how to recognize that opportunity that is being presented to you, and you're able to kind of grasp that opportunity in the correct way.
I hear you.
Also,
Sergeant, go ahead.
the two opportunities we have over here, of course, one is our business opportunity, right? We can get more people involved with Bitcoin and help them create another stream of income. And of course, our Bitcoin mining. Another question, one of the questions that from our member is, it's about the hash rate you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Reasons why the hash rate came down, of course, when Bitcoin price comes down, there are less people mining, there are less miners who mine, especially miners that have higher costs, right? When the electricity are high enough and the price is not high enough to justify the mining, that's when they turn their machines off. Also, another thing, there are a lot of over-leveraged miners out there. There are companies that do the mining, but they're over-leveraged. They borrow money. And mining is a very capital-intensive operation. So what people do is, yes, they borrow a lot of money to buy the machines, the equipment, to mine, because it's a great model, because when you mine, you generate consistent income that coming in if the price of Bitcoin is stable. Right? But unfortunately, we know that the price of Bitcoin is not stable. So these companies that over leverage, they are actually cannot sustain itself, right? When the price starts going down. But what's good for us, for Vbit, we are actually very financially strong. We don't have any liabilities. We have no debt, right? So for us, and also Sean just called me. Also for us, now I just lost my train of thought. All right.
Oh, you're just saying that we have no debt. We're pretty lean. With regard to the members, we're looking good. Not a lot of liabilities.
Right. Yes, exactly. And electricity is one of the lowest in the industry. Right. So we're okay. So even worst case scenario for our company, even if we don't do sales, even if we don't have any sales for the next 6 months, which I don't see it happening, but worst case scenario, even if we don't do any sales, and I believe even the next 6 months, we'll still be okay. And Don, you can help me elaborate on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, Jin. And I think Jin kind of hit the nail right on the head there as well. We don't have any debt as a company, so we're actually in a very, sound financial standing right now, as opposed to some of the other Bitcoin mining companies out there. What they do is there's, a service out there that allows them to basically collateralize the Bitcoins that they have, and then take out, like a 50% loan to value ratio on there. But so like, let's say, for example, right, to make it easy to understand, right? Let's say if Bitcoin is worth $10,000, right, $10,000 right now, and if the max loan to value ratio is 50%, meaning for every Bitcoin that you put that you collateralize, you put it into an escrow account with the lending institution, you're able to get a maximum of $5,000 out on it. But if you get the full loan to value ratio of 50%, even if Bitcoin price drops just by, let's say, 5%, right? If it drops by 5%, now, Bitcoin price, even though it's still relatively high compared to the amount they gave you as a loan, but they're going to force you to liquidate. They're going to force you to sell your Bitcoins right away so that they can cover their position. So even though, you only owe them $5,000, Bitcoin price, let's say, dropped down 10% to only $9,000. They already sold off your Bitcoins already. Yeah, you get the other 4,000. They take their cut of 5,000. You get back, your 4,000 minus any interest that you owe to them, right? But what you have just done was you caused, more selling pressure. So that in turn starts to become, a systematic, slide. Downward spiral slide. So once you get back your Bitcoin, now all of a sudden, or once you get back, your money, you just cause the Bitcoin value to go down even more as well. And that's what a lot of these mining companies did, right? They took, instead of selling the Bitcoins that they had mined, because they think that, the value of Bitcoin is just going to continue to go up in a straight line, they took that to the loan sharks, the company that, allows collateralized loans, and they took out the maximum possible, loan to value ratio and to actually further expand and further buy, more mining rigs and stuff like that. And then when Bitcoin price slides a little bit, all of their Bitcoins get liquidated, and then, it pushes down the Bitcoin price. And now all of a sudden, the machine, let's say, one of the mining rigs, right, is currently mining, one Bitcoin per month or whatever it is. At $10,000 value, you might be profitable because your electricity is slightly under that. But if now the Bitcoin price, because of your recklessness in taking that maximum collateralized loan, forces the systematic downtrend. Now Bitcoin price just dropped to $5,000, and your machine still mines only one Bitcoin, but the cost to run your machine, let's say, is like $7,000 a month. Now if you keep your machines on, every single month you're actually losing $2,000 because you're only still mining, one Bitcoin out. So those guys with the higher electricity rates, they're going to turn off their machines first. And when they turn off their machines, the hash rate on, the whole blockchain goes down. And when the hash rate goes down, that makes the mining difficulty level goes down. So everyone...
So you mine more.
Yep. Everyone with their machine still on, you mine more. And so it's actually better to be financially responsible. Don't be, so over leveraged, so you won't be put into those sticky situations.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm the new guy here, right, guys? So I'm listening to this. I've never really seen this in other companies before, where you're able to get the C-level team, the executive level team here to come and just talk, to the organizations, treat the organization members like family members, and to just give them the real, 100% perspective on things. Pretty refreshing, pretty cool. And, you love to see it. You really do. Anyway, so I mean, looking forward though, Don, in the months to come, it seems like you feel pretty confident with things. The energy prices is low, company's in a good position. What would you advise, members or potential people to do, or
Okay, so. James, I want to emphasize here, because even with some of our older members, right? They don't realize this because they weren't really paying attention the last time around in the last bear market. But our company started at the beginning of 2018, like when Bitcoin prices was around $16,000-17,000. At the end of 2018, Bitcoin prices bottomed out at $3,200, which is like even lower than what it is today. And because we're so uniquely positioned in areas with the lowest electricity rates around the world, even when it dropped to $3,200, we were still mining profitably over that time period too. So, I would say to our members, the company's already time tested. We already, proven that we're able to survive even through the toughest time periods when Bitcoin price was down to almost $3,000. So now Bitcoin price is at, like 5,000. And I really think, it's not going to stay down there for a prolonged period of time. So it gives us, we're in a uniquely positioned situation right here to take advantage of this and really take advantage of the additional Bitcoins that will be mined over time, because other people have to turn off their rigs right now. So actually, I think that downturns like this, if our members and our, prospects, if they actually really think about it and can actually see the real picture behind how, the Bitcoin mining actually works and how Bitcoin mining difficulty level works and stuff like that, downtrend prices like this actually gives us a better opportunity than if Bitcoin prices continuing to go up.
So Bitcoin is sale.
Yes, Bitcoin is on sale right now. So I would say hunker down. Of course, you don't rely on the Bitcoins that your machine mines just to make your monthly payments or to pay off your machine or whatever like that. Don't sell the Bitcoins that you have right now, because you would be just wasting a very good opportunity. If you're selling off all of your Bitcoins right now to make your monthly payments and stuff like that, you're really wasting this very, very rare opportunity that you have, where you're accumulating Bitcoin at such a low price of 5,000, even 4,000, or whatever it is, or whatever it might be, over the next week or two. And then afterwards you realize 1 month later, 2 months later, when it's $8,000, $10,000, you're kicking yourself. Why did I sell all of my Bitcoins when it was $5,000? Why didn't I hang on to it? I would have made double the money right now.
And one thing I want to clarify, when Don said monthly payment, we're talking about installment. When you buy a machine, when you buy it monthly, you pay. Of course, you do installment payments. Okay, there is no monthly payments to the company. Only if you buy the machine and you elect to do installments instead of buying our machines in full. That's what we meant when we say monthly.
The other thing I just want to clarify too, I just want to say it again. I know it might be beating a dead horse here for those of you listening, but it's a different beast if, let's say, the SEC or something crazy happens, to some legislation passes, and then Bitcoin starts tanking as a result, right? That's a whole different beast than what we're seeing right here. What we're seeing right here is Bitcoin going down as a result of everything around it kind of getting devalued and being uncertain and stuff. Nothing has happened to Bitcoin. There's been no drama within blockchain or anything like that. So that would give me some comfort knowing that okay, this is very, very this will pass. Nothing is horribly wrong here, and that just stay true to your investment, and it'll come back up again. So
yeah, and I think you phrased it very well, James, and thanks, Jin, for clarifying what I meant. Yes, that's correct. Our company doesn't charge any, monthly fees, or either to do the business or the fees out of your pocket to maintain the machines or anything like that. We only charge for the price of buying the machine. Once you have purchased it, there is once you fully paid it off, there is no monthly payment or anything like that. Just like you going out to buy a house, right? You're taking a mortgage from the bank. You're only paying that monthly mortgage payment until you paid off the whole purchase price of of the house, and that's exactly what it is. But I'm just saying, for those people, like on the installment monthly plans, don't sell your bitcoins to make the monthly payments right now, because you're going to be wasting such a good opportunity. Because you're getting bitcoin, you're getting more bitcoin at such a low bitcoin price, and bitcoin price is going to be jumping, like in the short term, very soon, over the next few months. It's going to be at least, like $8,000, $10,000 again, if not, like higher than that.
It doesn't even look like it was hit the hardest. Oh, I think I might be on speaker or someone. It doesn't even look like it was hit the hardest comparatively to other assets and stuff too. Like it had that huge dip on March 12th, but it already kind of rebounded back up to $5,000 as of right now today. So,
And I mean, I do see, like some strength in Bitcoin now, right? Because let's say the Dow dropped by about 3,000 points today. That's actually over 12%. On the Dow, and that's considering, like they do have certain circuit breakers in place, right? When it drops a certain amount in a short period of time in the same trading day, like the SEC, the SEC actually halts all trading for a short time period, so that people can get their heads together and all that kind of stuff. And then it has set trading times. So there's certain like regulations around it, certain circuit breakers to kind of manipulate the price of stocks and equities and other commodities already. And they have fell by that much, whereas like Bitcoin, a totally decentralized system, has no circuit breakers in place. It has no regulations that would help like manipulate it against a downward spiral. And you see that it hasn't even fallen today as much today as the regular stock market, even though it doesn't have those circuit breakers in place. It's a 24-hour day, 7-day a week, marketplace as well. It's truly, what I would say, like a real marketplace, with no types of basically manipulations around, like the trading times or circuit breakers in place already. And it's still holding its own. That means that, this technology, it's so good, and it's here to stay, guys. If it was going to, drop down to zero, if it was really a bubble that's going to crash and burn, it would have been a long time ago. When it was only $100, or when it was only, let's say, when it was $1, most people don't realize this, but actually back in November of 2010, right on the chart that you have right there, it dropped over 30% in 24 hours. And we all know from like my presentations back in 2010, Bitcoin price was only around 5 cents, per Bitcoin in July of 2010. So at 5 cents, if it drops down to by 30% in one day, imagine how scared, like all those people were. If it was going to crash and burn, it would have crashed and burned back then. It had these big volatile crashes time and time again, it has always came back even higher than where it was before.
It's true. And I've been through phases myself where I've been kind of a Bitcoin doomer, or gotten over it or gotten through whatever. And it's always surprised me how it's come back and, gotten to where it is today. And, I've been through a couple different cycles where I've ended up selling my Bitcoin holdings, and I kind of regret it. I kind of wish I just held on to it this whole time. Mm-hmm. We have some questions in the chat starting to trickle in here, guys. So this was scheduled to be a 1-hour show, so we're wrapping up with some questions. So if for those of you watching right now, thank you very much for your time and hanging out with us. Start thinking about anything you want to ask about Bitcoin or Vbit or anything like that as we field this next one by Gershom. Gershom asks, Don, with the slowdown in the Chinese economy, and since China is the biggest supplier, what impact do you think this will have on us and our ability to take on new customers?
Actually, because this is actually thanks to Jason. He actually foresaw that the effects of the coronavirus on the global economy, and he, like from even a few months ago, he was already telling me, like how serious this issue is going to be. So we need to order, like as many miners as we can, as many mining rigs as we can, so that we can kind of have stock while everybody else is out, right? So we actually put in our biggest order of mining rigs yet. We put in an order for over $1 million in mining rigs that is supposed to be delivered to us in the next few weeks or so. So we're actually set on that. We will and with the slowdown in China, right? What I foresee is a lot of other, like mining distributors, even the manufacturers, right? They're not going to be able to get stock out into the market as quickly. It's going to put us into another unique positive position where, like all of our competitors, all of the other mining farms, they're not going to have access to like new additional miners. So the mining difficulty level is going to stay stagnant for a while, and new machines are not going to be bought online yet because they can't get access to any of it because the manufacturers can't manufacture enough for the demand. And for us, we had already like pre-ordered it, so we're going to be like in a very good position.
All right. Well, thanks for your question, Gershom. Appreciate that. Jin, Jason, do you have any sort of final-ish thoughts on coronavirus, Bitcoin, Vbit, the future? Any words for the Vbit family?
If anything that I would like to add is, hold on to the Bitcoins that you have right now. And I do believe that as the dust start to settle, people getting out of that fear and panic mode, they're going to come to senses that, Bitcoin is, by far the best, asset class out there for them to put their money.
And also, take advantage of what's going on now, since we can't go out, we can't, we can't do a lot of gatherings. So learn how to do social media, how to promote yourself on social media. Actually, this is why we're doing this. All right, so that our member knows we are here, and also right now, yes, take advantage of getting another stream of income. Telling people, letting people know, yes, there's so much uncertainty going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a next paycheck going to come in.
It's kind of amazing, though. I can kind of almost visualize this as a potential thing to happen. Not saying it's going to happen because we'll just have to see, right? There's a lot of unknowns, but you just see how fast things can go downhill, right? Like, one piece of news comes out, it snowballs into more piece of news, the Dow goes down, Bitcoin shoots down. I could see a world where, once that curve, they always talk about flattening the curve, right? You guys heard about that with the whole spread of the virus. Like, all it would take is one day of sort of flattening and people start to get a little confidence back in things, and it feels like you just rounded that corner, of it went from this unknown scary thing to, okay, it's still pretty bad, but not the end of the world. It might just take that one day for things to shoot way back up again, like you think these things happen really quickly. And if I'm being 100% honest, I could see that happening as a type of thing, but we'll see.
Right.
All right. Don, any closing thoughts to the people? Last chance for questions, guys. Mercy says, thank you, Don, Jim, Jason, James. Thank you very much, Mercy, for tuning in. Ezra also in the YouTube chat. Hi, guys. This is Ezra. Great discussion on Bitcoin being on sale. Thank you for keeping us company, Ezra. Any final closing thoughts, Don?
Yeah, so one final thought is I've been thinking about, like how the trend in society, businesses and everything around us is getting more automated, right? People losing manufacturing jobs due to automation. At the end of the day, computers can outperform us, outwork us by leaps and bounds, because they don't need to take a rest, they don't need vacations, they don't need breaks, they don't need to eat, they don't need to sleep. So society is already like going towards that direction of automation. And now what Bitcoin mining does is it gives us an advantage here. It allows the everyday person to also take advantage of automation in our society. And so the advantage of automation is not only for big businesses and like big corporations out there, but now Bitcoin mining gives us an advantage as well to take advantage of automation. And I really think that coming out of this coronavirus issue, when people are at home after like they already missed that 2 weeks paycheck or 1 month paycheck, I'm not wishing this on like anybody, because I know most people statistically most people live from paycheck to paycheck, so it's very important for them to go to work. But the reality is now, with all of like the governmental issuance of like lockdowns and quarantines and stuff like that, people are going to realize really fast that, oh crap, like I can't keep on living like this. Now I can't go to work for 2 weeks. I can't go to work for a month. It's really, and I have to scramble. I have no other form of, like income. So it's going to make them realize that they need to find multiple forms of income. They need a form of income that is passive, that they're not going to have to show up to make money. They're going to need something where when they're going through this type of quarantine for 2 weeks, for a month or 2 months or whatever it is, that they can't show up to work, they can still make money and still pay their bills. And I really think that Bitcoin mining is the solution, to the systematic automation that's going on in society right now.
Very well said. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us. This is Vbit Cast number 1. We're in the early days. Hopefully we can do this a little bit more regularly. Be sure, if you're on the YouTube side of things, to consider subscribing to the channel and staying tuned for more. On the Facebook side, hit the like, or stay tuned for more posts and videos over on that end. With that said, guys, we're going to wrap it up here, and we will see you on Vbit Cast number 2. Fingers crossed. Wash your hands. Stay safe out there. Call your people. Make sure everybody's good. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. And to everyone on the stream, thank you for joining us. I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And we're always available if you have any other questions, any other follow-up questions, or if you needed any more information. All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
All right,
bye.
good night.